Welcome to the Caregiver Spaces Phys Ed. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what triggers. What is it? Why are we overeating? I do it, you do it, we all do it. The whole world does. But when it comes to caregivers, there's certain things that trigger us eating. And that feeling could be a feeling of reward. In other words, you just did something for your loved one and you're like, okay, you know what? I worked really hard today. I can have some ice cream. Yes, you can. But I don't want you to eat a quart of it. I want you to have a small portion of it. We'll get into that a little bit later. Okay, let's talk about weight loss in general. Do you know how many calories you need to eat every day in order just to maintain your weight? Well, everyone take note. It's pretty simple. What you do is you take your weight, let's say you weigh 150 pounds, and you times that by 10, which means that you are to take in 1,500 calories a day just to survive, meaning that you're not that active. But caregivers are pretty much active. They're always moving, they're lifting, they're assisting. So I would take that number and I would take your weight, 150, and I would add 2 more calories and I would go 150 times 12, and that is your daily intake of calories where in theory only, if you eat those calories and you expend during the day, when you get on the scale, if you weigh 150 today, tomorrow you're going to weigh 150 again. Now, if you're going to be working very hard or caring for more than one loved one, or that person is very heavy, or you're doing lots of activity and lots of moving and many stairs, you can increase that caloric intake up to 15 calories times your weight. But if you're trying to lose weight, the minimum that you should take in to sustain energy and have mental focus and physical strength is your weight times 10 calories. So now, I hear all the time, don't eat late at night because you're going to gain weight. Well, let's take a look at that. First of all, calories in equal calories out as far as what your body is taking in and what it is expending as far as weight loss. What we eat affects, when we get on that scale, what we weigh. It doesn't affect the tone of our body ratio as such, and it doesn't affect our health per se as far as our cardiovascular health. So a lot of times people get on the scale and they let that number dictate the mood of their day. And they get on the scale and it weighs 155. Oh my God. So that dictates your entire day. And now you're in a bad mood and you're like, oh my God, I got to cut calories today. And then you skip meals and then your metabolism drops. And then when you go to eat another meal during the day. So there's lots of fallacies out there when it comes to when to eat, not what to eat, when to eat. All right, let's say during the day that your daily caloric intake allowance is 1,500 calories. And during the day, you've only taken in 700 calories. You took in 300 or 400 for breakfast, 300 or 400 for lunch, and now it's ready to eat and it's 11 o'clock. If you eat a full meal that doesn't exceed 700 or 800 calories, you're not going to gain weight. But if you eat a full meal that has 2,000 calories, you're going to gain weight, not because you ate a 2,000 calorie meal in the evening. It's because when you take the total calories that you took in already, 700, 800, plus the 2,000, now you're at 2,800 calories, and anyone is going to gain weight. Just like if you ate that in the morning, you are going to gain, you may not gain as much weight because you've had time during the day to burn those calories off, but you still will gain weight. Sometimes our schedule and our lifestyle doesn't allow us to eat when we need to eat. Especially as a caregiver, we all know that, hey, when your loved one needs to be tended to, you're not going to sit around and say, well, listen, I'll be right with you, Mom. I'll be right with you, brother, because I got to finish my meal. No, they always come first. That's why we are caregivers. All right, so remind yourself, there are certain triggers, they're called triggers, of why we overeat or stress eat. I also call it emotional eating. We emotionally eat for many reasons. We also emotionally eat to reward ourselves. We also emotionally eat because of something that we don't feel good about ourselves, or stress, or we're angry, or how about this? We don't feel like we're whole. There's a feeling of what is called emptiness. That emptiness could be triggered by no one cares about me. I'm doing all this work. No one really cares about, and I'm taking care of my mother or my brother or my sister, and no one cares about me and poor me. So I do eat that because it makes me feel good. What's interesting is that most emotional eating and overeating is mainly due and mainly triggered by negative thoughts. So I want everyone to take note here. What you're going to do is you're going to keep what I call an emotional food diary. In other words, every time that you want to eat, you're going to put down what you ate, and you're going to put the reason why afterwards. Ask yourself, why did I need to eat that? Oh, I was angry. Oh, I didn't feel whole. Oh, I'm not getting complimented. I'm not getting recognized. Oh, I'm tired. I'm bored. And then you're going to see a pattern develop. And so what the first step that you're going to do is you're still going to be triggered to eat, but it's the amount that you're eating. For instance, I know lots of people that eat nuts, and everyone knows the health benefit of nuts. But the portion control of a nut and the nuts that you eat should be about this much. When you eat a whole bag of pistachio nuts, you're taking in thousands of calories, even though it's healthy. So the first thing you want to do is identify, and keeping that emotional food diary is going to be very, very helpful. The other thing is, how does movement and exercise come into and play a part with your emotional eating? You know, it's very easy. What you need to say to yourself is, you know what, I didn't have that much of an active day as I normally do. I don't need to take in those calories. What I like to do personally is that on the days that I'm working out, I say to myself, can I take a walk today? Can I garden today? Can I play with my children today? How active am I going to be? That should also help guide you with the amount of calories that you're taking in. Because if you're not that active and sedentary, your body doesn't require, number one. And number two, you will gain weight if you eat the same amount of calories on an active day as you do on a day that you're sedentary. It's going to creep up. This winter, especially here in the Northeast, as you know, we've been very sedentary. We wanted to have comfort food. The weather, this week is the first time that we've actually can go out without a jacket on in the morning. Well, now we really shouldn't even say that. In the afternoon and beyond. But when it's snow on the ground, we want to just get home. We just want to hide. We want to hibernate. And our children have suffered as well. So you're going to see that everyone's really gained a little extra weight this year, and we need to get it off. Exercise plays a wonderful part as far as feeling better about yourself. And also, it allows you that liberty to have that time when you are going to eat something. Perfect example. You're food shopping. Another great tip. You know, there's an old adage. When we were growing up, my mother and father didn't allow that many desserts and sweets in the house. So if you're going through the cabinets and you want to eat something and you only have good, healthy food, you can only eat good, healthy food. It starts from an early age. Whereas if you have yodels, ring-dings, ice cream, candy, not that there's anything wrong with eating that occasionally, but that's all your choices are, and there's no fresh fruit or no healthy nuts or cereal around, then of course you're forced to eat an unhealthy choice as well as laden with fat, carbohydrates, starches, and processed food. It's very interesting that the French and a lot of the Europeans who eat all the time cheese and bread, they really don't have as much of an obesity problem as here in the United States. And the reason why is it's the processed food. So don't cut out any of the macronutrients, whether it be protein, carbohydrates, or fats. What you need to do is learn how to eat those things, but eat it in moderation. And moving is a great thing. The other thing is this. When you're feeling bad or not feeling good, or you get triggered and you're keeping that emotional food diary, you want to say to yourself, okay, 8 quart of ice cream after I got finished changing mom's bedding and this and that. All right, and you're going to see a pattern. Not that you're going to eat that quart of ice cream every time, but that's what's triggering you to eat something. So what you need to do is go out and get portions. This is what I do. I love a certain brand of ice cream, but it only comes typically in a quart or a larger size. Recently, though, they're making these little portions, and they're only 150 calories. So what I've done is I don't buy the big portion anymore. I stock up and buy 10 to 12 of those, throw them in the freezer. So now when I am triggered by stress, or I just feel like I've earned a dessert because I worked out that day, I go to the freezer, I take that out, and I'm not going to gain weight from that. And if I do gain weight for that, because of the fact that I've exercised, especially in the evening, my metabolism burning, burning, burning. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm not going to be any heavier. And I've satisfied that sweet tooth, and I've been able to do something with the stress that said, hey, Ed, you got to eat that. So accept what you're doing and manage it, massage it, but you have to make an effort in trying to do that. Otherwise, you will continue to gain weight, not just now throughout the winter and the spring is upon us, but you want to break that habit and that pattern. Learning to recognize the triggers is the most important thing. The other things afterwards are a lot easier. As caregivers, we're so concerned with taking care of our loved ones that sometimes we put our necessities on the back burner. And here's where you're going to be not selfish, because we're not selfish. You need to be more self-centered. And that I need to take better care of me. I need to be stronger. I need to be fitter. I need to be more alert. I need to be more focused. I need to be less depressed, because without me, I can't take care of that loved one. So that's important. Reward yourself when needed. But if you weren't that active that day and you ate 3 full meals and you're already at 1,700 calories and you know to only take in 1,500 calories, you're certainly not going to reward yourself with a quart of ice cream. No one, an Olympic athlete, couldn't eat that unless they're working out 4 or 5 hours a day. And I can't get anyone to work out more than an hour 3 to 5 days a week. So be realistic within yourself. Stress eating is mainly due to unpleasant things also. Anything that's unpleasant. It could be the fact that, hey, you know what, you got to get up early. It could be the fact that, you know what, you're not able to take a nap. So recognize what those unpleasant things are and try to deal with it on a one-to-one basis with yourself. Keeping that food emotional diary is part one and the most important, step one, of being honest with yourself. The other thing that causes overeating is your current diet. How much fruits are you eating? What's the fiber in your meal? What do you eat before a meal? I love, when I'm really hungry, what I do is, and I know that if I didn't either skip a meal, either I skipped a meal or I ate very light, and then I did a lot of activity, now I want to eat everything in sight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eat an apple or a half an apple, and it's going to make me feel full. Make sure that your current diet, what you're eating, not that you're on a diet, has plenty of fiber. And don't drink water in between while you're eating. It's not the greatest thing for your digestion. Eat, drink water after your meal. If you want to have a little wine, you want to have a little juice or this and that, or some milk with your meal, that's fine. But a lot of people are drinking tons of water, and it's not the greatest thing because it's going to make your stomach feel icky, and you don't want that. And you want to feel, you know, when you drink a lot of water, you feel bloated until you have to go to the bathroom. Well, that same thing. Fiber is critical because fiber is going to give you a sensation of feeling full. All right, so in review, to wrap things up for today, how to not avoid stress eating, how to deal with your stress eating and your emotional eating. The most important thing is keep an emotional food diary. You're going to see a pattern develop. You're going to write down what you're eating, why you're eating it, and try to eat smaller portions of that. And then you want to try to find substitutes for that behavior. It could be reading. It could be a game online. It could be chess. It could be checkers. It could be going out for a walk. The key is to change your environment. When you feel that trigger, oh my God, I got to get to the refrigerator. I got to have that. Change your environment quickly. Go take a walk. Come back. Do something positive for yourself so that you're not doing something bad for yourself. All right. Of course, everyone knows that for more information on anything to do with caregiving, thecaregiverspace.org is the place to go, where we hear what you need to talk about, and we are there to help you at any time. Coming up in our next live stream, we're going to be talking about the best exercises to perform now that spring is upon us for having nicer arms, wearing sleeveless shirts, wearing a pair of shorts, and things of that nature. And how to maximize your exercise time based upon your problem areas. And how you can make that room of yours and that house of yours an environment, an actual fitness place, so that you don't have to get to a gym if you can't either afford it or afford the time, or just simply don't want to work out in a health club. I thank you all for joining me today on Phys Ed, and brought to you by the Caregiver Space.